The fact is, he should be far along compared to where he is right now. You look at their draft history. I mean, Will Craig, this is perplexing to me. He was a first-round pick or high second, whatever he was. He's a guy you hear a lot about, just as Brad Eldred was a guy you heard a lot about. This guy was going to come up and play first base. We haven't seen him. Now there's an opening at first base. They DFA Todd Frazier, and they have no Will Craig. So what is he? What is Cole Tucker? That could be a Jeopardy question because he was drafted first round in 2014. Kevin Newman, what's he done? You know, this is why when people say, Garrett Cole, look at the return. Okay, look at it. You have nobody, Moran's the only one left. He's hurt now. Jeff Martin was
nobody
nothing.
From the Garrett Cole trade coming back the other way is currently active for the Pirates, and that's not even close to good enough. I'm really tired, and kind of Cole Tucker's sort of, I'll pick on him for a second here. But he and to another extent Kevin Newman are just an example of, I think, draft picks by the Huntington regime that were embarrassingly behind the times. I mean, baseball clearly in the last decade, the latter half, was moving back towards a power game, 3 true outcomes, power hitters, power pitchers. And the Pirates are trying to get toolsy middle infielders,
right?
Guys who are going to hit for average but not a lot of power. I remember reading Keith Law say, and he loved Kevin Newman, and Keith Law's a scribe. Everybody knows that he knows his stuff. He said Kevin Newman, great hit tool, not a lot of power, but his base running, his base running is going to make him a guy that really gives the Pirates a lot. Where has any of this been? Where's any of it been? They've tried to pick these guys who are kind of just not really what the modern baseball player is at this point, and they've yielded almost nothing in return.
The only good thing moving forward is you have Jack Leiter potentially coming in. I hope over Kumar Rocker and those guys.
Although there's a toolsy there's a high school shortstop
they
might take.
They got Nick Gonzalez.
That?
They just got Nick Gonzalez last year, and everyone's going to toot his horn.
But you can never have too many.
Well,
you can never have too many guys that are about 6'1" with projectable power.
Anything I'm hearing about Quinn Priester, I get it. He's a guy who, swaggerty. I get it. These are guys who we'll wait and see. But if you keep making generally, most people, fans, look at it and say, oh, look at this return. Look at these guys are coming. Don't bet on it because we've seen too many disappointments. Let's go to the line and see what people think. Mike in Oakland's first up. What's up, Mike? How are you?
What's up, gentlemen? How you doing tonight?
We're good.
So I want to talk Pirates, and first, Chris brought up the Gladiator movie. I look at Mitch Keller. I think of Rocky III. Remember when Clubber Lang, the first fight against Rocky, told the manager he looked scared, and proceeded to pulverize him. I mean, Mitch Keller just doesn't look confident on the mound. And I get it. I know it's just a look, but it's also how he's pitching. So, I think there's something to that. And then I just want to mention, this lineup tonight, it was an embarrassment.
Terrible.
And I just want to say this and get your thoughts. I know people are trying to have hope that in a few years Bob Nutting is going to spend money. There's no indication that is going to happen. It's one thing if the owner has a track record on that, like with Houston, they were horrible for a couple years, but when push came to shove, the owner spent some money. I mean, look at what happened. They DFA'd Nicasio a few years ago to save $600,000 late in the season. So now in a few years, Bob Nutting's going to have $120 million payroll, which would still be below average.
All right, Mike.
I'm not.
We got to go. I get your point. And Chris, the thing is, you had Kai Tom batting third tonight. You had Tony Stokes Jr., Will Defoe. That lineup was a terrible lineup. There's no any way else to look at it.
I'm trying to think. Kai Tom batting third is what? Tyke Redmond a couple of years ago. Remember a decade ago when they had a computer come up with the ideal lineup and we got Tyke Redmond hitting third? That was fun. As to the Bob Nutting point, I say this every time it gets brought up. The best hope that you can have as a Pirates fan is that the young talent is good enough and the team starts to perform at a high enough level that his hand is very clearly forced to a one or the other decision. You know what I mean? That he has to either make or break that promise, that idea that they were going to start upping the payroll, because that at least means that Ben Cherington put in place a rebuilding plan that got far enough down the road to justify that question being asked. Right now, you can't ask that question. Look at the guys they're putting out there.
Yeah, but what you can ask
what's really
is why not, for the sake of entertainment, for the sake of bringing in, we talk about Pujols, why not? We talk about, look what the Reds did. They gave Mike Moustakas a lot of money. They gave Nick Castellanos a lot of money with no necessarily intention of winning anything, but to make their lineup better, to give them something that people can look to and say, hey, that's a professional lineup. You could still do that. There's no law against that. What are you going to get? Rule 5 guys everywhere? Is that how, is that how it works now?
The Reds for me are a weird cautionary tale. I'm not saying that what they do is better or worse than the Pirates. In fact, what they do I think is better, because I think if you're a fan, it feels good to know that like ownership is maybe putting a big dollar sign on a guy, maybe when they even shouldn't. They gave Votto a big deal that is dwarfs. It's 10 years? It was something, 10 years, $220 million. Yeah. Now, they haven't reaped any benefit from that, so somebody's going to be out there saying, well, Chris, what's the point? It's not my money. I would like being a Reds fan knowing that Joey Votto is pretty much going to be a Cincinnati Red for life. There would be some sort of value in that I got to watch one of the best kind of craftsmen of his generation go up there and hit and draw 1 million walks and be a professional hitter and a mainstay of the franchise. I do think there's value with that.
I do too, and I'd like to see it, if for no other reason than to just show, hey, we're trying to do something to make us entertaining at least, because we're not right now. Now it's time for the Tri-State Office Furniture Tweet of the Day, and this comes to us from the Steelers, reminding you that the 2021 schedule is coming out. This is Joe Hayden. When you don't know the Steelers' schedule yet, and then the bottom picture is when you realize it's going to be announced on Wednesday night. And however it works out, it is going to be an hellacious schedule away from home. We'll talk about opening night in the NFL and what it might be. And Tampa Bay against, what would be a good fill in the blank? Chris, I'll ask you that when we return. This is the Nightly Sports Call right here on Pittsburgh CW.